Independent 2024 presidential candidate Cornel West criticized Senator Bernie Sanders for not calling for a ceasefire in the ongoing war between Israel and the militant Palestinian group Hamas. You say, Brother Bernie, man, this is reaching the point where it's getting pathetic now, man, West said in an interview with Status Quo News on Wednesday. If the pause is the best you can come up with given this situation, then this is getting pretty pathetic. While Sanders has backed a pause in the bombing, he has not called for a ceasefire like some other progressives in Congress. He has faced pressure on the issue, with protesters occupying his Washington, D.C. office earlier this month demanding his call for a ceasefire. West previously served as a surrogate for Sanders' presidential campaign 2016-2020. However, he has recently critiqued Sanders' alignment with Democrats and his support for President Biden's 2024 re-election bid. Brother Bernie's making a plausible argument, but I think deep down in his heart, he knows the Democratic Party has no fundamental intention of speaking to the needs of poor people and working people, West said in an interview on Hill TV's Rising in August. West called Sanders and Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, another popular progressive in Congress, window dressing at worst and at best people to appeal to every 4 years. But the Democratic Party is beyond redemption at this point when it comes to seriously speaking to the needs of poor and working people, West maintained. Jill Stein, another liberal candidate running for the Green Party's 2024 presidential nomination, has also recently called out Sanders for not supporting a ceasefire in Gaza. So why aren't you calling for a ceasefire at Bernie Sanders? Ceasefire now, with the hashtag. Stein posted on Monday on X, the platform known as Twitter. Roughly 1,200 people were killed in Israel last month in a widespread attack launched by Hamas. More than 11,000 Palestinians, including many children, have been killed by resulting Israeli attacks in Gaza. So there's a bit to unpack here. I really have not been paying much attention to Sanders during the heights of this issue. I know I covered the story where he said that, Israel was going to violate international law, but I really haven't been kind of just taking notice of what he's been doing. I also remember hearing the story of the protesters that came to his office. So it did kind of come as a surprise that he still hasn't, at this point, called for a ceasefire. But honestly, I don't really know what to say about him, because you have this guy who is, without a doubt, the most well-known, maybe not the most popular, but certainly, as far as among the actual progressive community, but without a doubt, the most well-known, progressive in the country. And he's got a platform that 90% of the other senators only wish they could have. So if he came out and called for a ceasefire and said, I know Biden wants to win re-election, he doesn't want to lose the Jewish vote, but you need to talk about how there have been oppressions of people such as the Palestinians by the Israeli government for decades up to this point. And Jewish people who can actually look at issues in an objective way. No, we're not talking about them. No, we're not talking about the religion of Judaism. We are talking about an apartheid state government that has treated other human beings like garbage for years. I guarantee you would have people like Mark Levin try to say he's a self-hating Jew, which is like the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But because he doesn't support the Israeli government, but his speaking out on this would certainly be of a benefit to those that want to see just all the conflict end altogether. Because, a lot of us who say we don't support the Israeli government are accused of being Hamas supporters when it's stated over and over and over and over again, no, we just don't back an apartheid state government, and especially one that kills a bunch of children in retaliation for a terrorist attack. So, we're really on neither person's side except for the innocent Palestinians and Israel citizens who have been killed for things that are not of their own fault. It's interesting to see West turn on. I guess I always have to remind myself how Sanders was the one that West kept promoting, endorsing. So when he comes out and says his response to this is not up to par, it stings. That's why if Sanders, who was one of Biden's biggest backers in 2020, played a role in getting him elected, were to come out and say, look, I'm fine with some of the domestic stuff he's done. Maybe it's not as far as I would go, but he needs to call for a ceasefire now. I think it would have some effect. Maybe Biden doesn't entirely switch over. Maybe they talk trash about Sanders on the cable networks for a few days. But I think him saying, or rather stating publicly his support for a ceasefire would benefit the overall movement. So I think West is not wrong for these critiques. As far as the other part about the Democratic Party being beyond redemption, like I said, the two-party system is a cancer on democracy. But in the short term, I don't really see what you can do besides support the person that you actually believe in. Like, I've never voted for someone based off of, I don't want this other person to win. But I can't look at a person who is independent, or maybe they're like Democrat leaning, whatever, who's, let's say, not entirely enthusiastic about 4 more years of Biden, and tell them, oh yeah, you should vote for the other party member who, a member of another party that hasn't had any congressional seats, no governorships. Yeah, support them. It's just, I wish third parties had more traction. I do, and but I can't in good conscience tell someone who really doesn't want Trump or one of the Republicans to win going back to third party. Like, I don't care, because I live in California, and I'll vote for whoever I want. But there is a lot of that mentality that when you get to the general election, it really is just the Democrat or the Republican. And I wish all these people that say the two-party system was broke with their much larger platforms than mine, they should get together and form a third party and actually try to get measures in place to where they can be effective. Whether you're talking about ranked choice voting, just they need. I don't know. That's why I'm always so frustrated with the online left, because it's like, yeah, there's a lot of complaining. There's a lot of people writing stuff in comment sections, sending super chats, but who's actually doing anything? Like, even with TYT founding the Justice Democrats, what are they doing? Yeah, some of them have called for a ceasefire, which I appreciate, but in general, it's like, they're still going to tell you to vote for Biden anyway, so I don't know, it all just seems like things aren't getting any better with a lot of this stuff, but it is interesting seeing West call out Sanders like this, because he worked for him. Sanders was the, progressive darling 2 times in a row, and his response to this has been really not appealing to a lot of people.